Hey everyone, welcome back. It is time for another wrestling review. This time, back to Japan. This time, show we haven't done in a while, or should I say an organization we haven't done in a while. We're going back to Pro Wrestling Noah. With me once again, we have Campo.Reviews, the man who reviews movies, TV shows, wrestlings, all the wrestlings.
All of the wrestlings.
If you have not caught our Guardians of the Galaxy 3 review, make sure you go and watch that. Give that video a little bit of love. Your boy Johnny Donuts is in it. Even Putty makes an appearance. I will leave the link for it at the end of the video. So watch the video through, click on that, and then watch our Guardians review if you like comic books and stuff like that. So with that out of the way, Campo, we are back to Japan. We are back to Noah, an event that we didn't really know happened until we kind of saw we saw the post of the tag match.
It's strange. I own the service, Wrestle Universe, and they don't really advertise things properly.
But there's a lot of shows that we
missed like 4 legit shows, including we missed the tournament
and Jake Lee becoming champ.
Yes. Either way, we know that we got to start paying attention now. But I heard about this one. You heard about this one.
Yeah, I sent you the post on Instagram. You're like, holy shit, when did this happen?
And then I looked it up right away. I saw it was on the service already, so we watched it. And Noah is clearly one of the front runners in wrestling. And
in terms of production quality, oh my God, their production standards are on a level that cannot be you could watch these shows in 4K.
Yeah, they're filmed really well.
Yeah, they're framed well, like the way they shoot them, the way they.
Mind you, this episode didn't have the production value of the last couple.
Well, I mean, the last couple, you're talking Noah's, the final bye-bye, Muda's final match. Yeah.
It's also the venues, right? They didn't have space to set up their big set that they have.
Yeah.
There was just a walkout, like how New Japan has it sometimes. Like they go to those places where there's nothing. So
the little rec centers.
Yeah. I mean, Sumo Hall is a big place.
Yeah.
But it's just the way that they have to set up. There's no room for that.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So the first match, we'll go with the first match. It was there were 2 pre-show matches. It was the first one of the 2. You watched them all, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was Super Crazy, who I thought was dead.
Yes, so did I.
Mohammed Yone against Akitoshi Saito and Daishi Ozawa. Like I said, I thought Super Crazy was dead. And Yone is basically the Disco Inferno.
Yeah.
With an afro.
They're like, it's funny because you can't really point at them and be like, wow, this is a ripoff of something, because I mean, wrestling has the same gimmick a lot of times, but I do feel like his name is the Funky Weapon. Like, he's clearly
Taguchi.
Like,
but he also has bit elements of Toriano thrown in there.
Yeah, and but he's also been around for a while, so it's not like this is like some new thing. Yeah, you know what? Considering how old they are, and like this being a pre-card match and like all of that, it wasn't bad.
It was fun. Yeah, it did what it had to do. It's like when you throw Toriano and Tomohiro Ishii in a pre-show match.
Super Crazy could still do those things, but
the guy's like almost 50.
Yeah, and he did some crazy stuff off the top rope.
Yeah, so
he's definitely out of shape.
Yes, because I don't remember Super Crazy looking that bloated before.
But crazy.
He was super crazy. The second pre-show match was Atsushi Kotoge and Seiki Yoshinoka against Extreme Tiger and Lancelot. So it was a very not New Japan, but Japanese style versus lucha style match. And I noticed that a lot on this show.
Yeah, but I started to notice that Noah has a lot of lucha elements more than any other promotion that's not a lucha promotion. Yes,
New Japan focuses more on the strong style.
Yeah, and mind you, you do see it in AEW and Impact and stuff, right? And you see it in New Japan as well a lot. But there's a lot of it in Noah.
Yeah,
like, it's a lot of their excursions seem to be to Mexico.
Yeah. And there's a lot of Mexican talent in Noah, more than there is in Japan.
New Japan.
Yeah, or New Japan. That's correct. You got to you got to. Yeah, it's all Japan. It's all one country. But yeah.
But yeah, you're correct, and it's a lot of, I don't know, because they're kind of strong style. I mean, they're more Kings Road style.
Kings Road style, yeah.
Than strong style, because they're very aggressive in Noah. There's some kicks that happen later that are like, I was like, okay.
Yeah, in that later in the one for the national championship match. Yeah, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it was like I said, you could tell the crowd, the lights were very, very dark, and the crowd was still making their way into the arena.
At the beginning, there was like nobody there.
Yeah,
the couple of the front rows were full. Everything else is pretty dead.
Yeah,
and like I said, it's a pretty big place. I believe it's like 12,000.
Yeah, something like that. No, only 3,000. Venue.
Yeah, I don't know. I swear it says it holds 12,000.
Yeah, 20,000 it holds. 20,000, but this had an attendance. So basically, I think only the floors were filled. That's why the lights were all off. So
it could be. Well, I mean, they don't always need to go all out. Noah is one of the bigger companies.
Yeah.
In recent times, New Japan has like pulled monopoly almost over everything. Mind you, the company that owns Pro Wrestling Noah also owns Joshi Pro, Tokyo Joshi Pro, and DDT. So they kind of have the monopoly, if that makes sense. But New Japan is like the biggest company by far. And
is it Abema TV, something like that?
And it's like it started out, all Japan and New Japan were kind of close.
Yeah.
And then throughout the 80s, All Japan was the way bigger company, and into the 90s.
And Noah was kind of an offshoot of
Noah. Well, yeah, Noah is the product of everyone turning on the All Japan management and leaving to go form
their own
company. And then at that point, Japanese wrestling was really in the dumps, and Noah was like the face of Japanese wrestling for.
We're talking like early 2000s, like right after.
For like the first 10 years of the 2000s, Noah was like the face of Japanese wrestling. Yeah, and then New Japan made a big comeback when all those guys, Prince Devitt and Nakamura, everyone just was really
Minoru
going.
Suzuki,
and
Tanahashi,
and it's weird to see that now Noah has kind of like faded into the background.
Yeah. And the thing is, at one point when All Japan in the 90s was at the top of the game, they're third now in the pecking order in Japanese wrestling.
They're very small.
Yeah. Still there.
DDT is smaller.
Yeah.
But
basically, All Japan is like the NWA.
This is why my comparison. I think I said it before. New Japan is WWE. Noah is AEW.
Yeah.
DDT is like our Ring of Honor, maybe like NWA, and then All Japan is like Impact right now, because they still have viewers. They're just,
the thing is, I would
small.
Put All Japan more like an NWA, because at one time they were one of the biggest companies in the world. NWA.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, that's just me. That's just personal.
I digress.
So Atsushi and Seiki Yoshinoka go over in a fun little match. It was that's another thing too. A lot of these matches went pretty quick, like 10, 15. All the matches were like 10, 15 minutes. There wasn't.
Mind you, the runtime is 5 hours.
Almost 6. Because then we got an hour of, was it intermission?
Oh yeah. It was just like an advertisement on the screen for like an hour.
Yeah. And then technically they labeled this as a pre-show, but it was part of the main card. It was the good-looking guys of Jack Morris, not Zach, Anthony Green.
Not related to Hugh.
Yeah. Tatsuki and our boy Yohei against Sean Legacy, Stallion Rogers, and Los Golpedores of Dragon Bane and Alpha Wolf.
All right, so Luchas.
And Gaijins.
I'm just gonna say this right now. I really like GLG. They're like the answer to just 5 guys.
Yeah, they are
good-looking guys. And we'll get to something later. I think about it, but They've started in January as the new faction.
Yep.
And they're pretty deep.
Yeah.
Already. They have a world champion.
Yeah.
So
Jake
that
Lee,
tells you a lot. And yeah, so hey, I actually like this match. I really like
it was a good
I love
match.
Yohei.
Again.
I'm a huge Yohei fan.
He is. He needs a push, a bigger push. He needs to move up to at least a junior heavyweight. So Hayata and Ninja Mac had a match later in the show, and whoever wins, I think Yohei should challenge for the next. Next.
It's Noah's in a weird transitional phase now where they're starting to like establish things more solidly.
Yeah, and he's one of the younger talents because I noticed on this show a lot of the people are in their mid to late 30s to 50.
All of their main power, like star power, are in their 40s, basically.
Yeah, even Yohei. Yohei's 35, 36, something like that.
The only really young guy they have is Kiyomiya, and that's like their future, right? I mean, they have other guys. I never remember. We'll get to it later because he challenges him at the end of the match, that white guy.
Yeah.
But I like that faction. It was weird because I really like KZ and
which we didn't see
together, but
we didn't see him on this show.
They've separated them because it was like they were just trying to put people together to make teams, and it's like now
it didn't work.
So you can see that they're starting to establish factions now solidly, and I really like what they're doing.
Yeah. Next, we had a rare women's match. We had Sumire Natsu and Ryo Mizunami, who we've seen many times in AEW. Against Miya Yuhiki and Saki. And I was not expecting a women's match on this show, and it was a good women's match. Like, it was hard hitting. It was like for smaller statured women, with the exception of Ryo, it started off slower, but the women really got into it after.
Yeah, as they started progressing with that storyline of like keeping what was her name? Ryo, is that what it was?
Which one? Mizunami? The one with the short crop cut.
When they started keeping her to the outside and like double teaming the other girl
on Natsu.
That's like that's where like it started to get good. Once that started happening, and the quick tags they were doing, I thought that was really good.
Yeah, but you got Natsu and Ryo Mizunami going over. It didn't mean anything, but at least it told a great story in the ring, and take it for what it is. I think all these women, they're not signed. They're just free agents, from what I understand.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
They're like freelancers.
Usually when you're going to get...
like, they're not signed to Joshi Pro.
Yeah, usually when you're going to get your Joshi Pro stuff, it's going to be like Yuka Sakazaki and Maki Ito, even though Yuka Sakazaki is now fully signed to AEW.
Yeah.
Maybe Riho will show up. You never know with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, there is a working relationship with all of them, so.
Yeah, it seems weird because we don't see that much crossover between Stardom and Joshi Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Tokyo Joshi Pro, because Joshi Pro just means women's wrestling. But we don't see much crossover between them, but AEW pulls very heavily from Tokyo Joshi Pro and doesn't really work with Stardom at all. So I find it weird because then they also work with New Japan and don't work with Noah at all.
Yeah.
But they work with DDT. So it's kind of like I'm so confused by the crossover for that.
But I mean, now there is like that crossover in Japan too. We had like that the Wrestle Kingdom Night 2 was essentially Noah versus New Japan, and now we're having the Worlds Collide, whatever it's called, like the three, all together again, it's called, right? So they are doing some more crossover stuff, and more crossover is good. Like, you get matches you'd probably never get, like dream matches you want to see that you may never get to see, right? So I don't mind the crossovers, and I don't mind but the end, go ahead. Sorry.
We're still learning the Noah landscape.
We're not like
where I can name you everybody in New Japan with my eyes closed. It's just by hearing their voice, even at this point. It's like Noah's still kind of fresh. We know the big players. It's the like the rest of the people that we're still
the outliers that are like what you would consider maybe like someone like a Tomohiro Ishii or like that type of
Yeah, and there was, we'll get to it later, but there's a few really big names that happened to not be there in our other two events, or they were injured. So we didn't even talk about them at all so far since we've been doing this.
So, yeah. So with that, we're going into our first feud match of the night. Kongo against Amasuka. I love watching Amasuka. Great junior heavyweight. Junta Miyawaki and Alejandro. Again, another lucha, right?
Yeah.
And I just realized, like, watching this show like the other day, there's a member from Kongo, Hiroki. It's pronounced Hiroki, but it's spelled High 69. Have you noticed that?
No.
Yeah. So it's HI69, but it's Hiroki.
Well, I mean, it's like Amasuka. All the Japanese people call him that. He calls himself that, but every single white or English speaking announcer calls him Amaska. So it's like, I'm so confused. I know that what you're saying is different because it's a spelling, but it's like, how does every single English speaking person have a completely different name for this person than the Japanese people do? It's kind of, you know what it's like? It's like Okada. Because the Japanese call him Kazuchika, but all the English people call him Kazuchika. So it's like, well, which one is it? I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. But it's true though. That's right. It's JR
especially always says the Chica in Kazuchika.
Yeah. It's so weird. You're right though. But yeah, I mean, this again, it was another fun. It was a fun match.
I mean, Amasuka's really good.
Yeah, and so is Alejandro.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah. So he'll come up later in another thing that we're gonna talk about. But yeah, this is a feud match. Kongo's in this a lot. I was very unaware how many members they had.
Yeah, Kongo's huge. They do lose a member later in the show.
Yeah, that's where we'll get to what I was gonna say. But it's. I always thought they were very similar to LIJ in size, but they're not. They have like 9 matches or 9 wrestlers who wrestle tonight.
Currently, there's 6.
Okay, so there's these 3 that wrestle.
Yeah. Well, and there's 7.
There's 3 now. Then there's the guy who has the real shoot fight.
Yep.
And then there's another guy later, isn't there?
Yeah. And the one that turns. Yeah.
Well, we'll get to this. And then there's a trios match at the end. And then there's the other 3 people have recently quit.
Yes.
So I actually like this match. And I don't like, how I feel about trios matches with no implications. If there's nothing on the line, I don't care about a trios match.
Yeah, but it was still a fun match to watch. It wasn't like it was a bad match.
It could have been worse. It could have been 4 wrestlers on each team.
Yeah. 8-man tag.
I don't do 8-man tags.
No.
That's where I draw the
Kongo
line.
goes over. Kongo is still made to look. Are they a heel or are they a face faction? Because Keno is a bit of a face.
They're like an
LIJ.
Yeah, they're LIJ. They're the anti-heroes.
Yeah, that's why they have the LIJ versus Kongo feud.
And they still they have the same sort of idea where like they're led by a guy who's adamant that his career never went anywhere because the company's out to get him.
Yeah.
Right? It's like he's literally Naito as a character.
Essentially, yeah, he is. He's totally, where Naito never gets that opportunity anymore.
It's always like, and it's the company's out to get me. That's why I never get a shot.
But Kongo goes over in this match. It's probably one of the quickest matches on the show, though.
Yeah, it was pretty fast.
Yeah. So we go into our next match, which is Kazuyuki Fujita and Masato Tanaka, legend Masato Tanaka.
Fujita too.
Yeah, Fujita too, but not to the point where like Tanaka is a former ECW World Heavyweight Champion.
Oh yeah, they talk about it.
Yeah. Against Masa Kitamiya and Daiki Inaba. Like I said, Tanaka, those who are familiar with ECW back in the 90s, early 2000s, like
he was the champion.
He was. He had this amazing Tanaka. Go watch Tanaka versus Mike Awesome. Any Tanaka versus Mike Awesome or Tanaka versus Taz. Yeah,
Tanaka versus Taz. That I actually see, and I didn't even know that's who this was. And then when they said it, I looked it up and I was like, oh, I've seen that match. Against,
he just looks so different now. Like his
he's
forehead,
a lot older.
Like his forehead looks like it was put through a cheese grater.
Yes, it was put through a cheese grater, probably.
Probably many times by Bubba Ray Dudley.
Did he ever wrestle Bubba Ray or Tommy Dreamer?
Or Tommy Dreamer?
Yeah.
Yes, he did wrestle Bubba Ray. They went for the tag belts at one time. So I think him and Sabu.
That's a good team.
Yeah. But and it's like we're looking at these guys, and Fujita and Tanaka, legends in their own, you know what I mean, in their own vein. But this is where I started noticing that everybody on this show is like 34, 35. Like you see the age in these wrestlers.
The average age is like 35, I'll say. Because there's quite a few late 40 guys here tonight.
And like there's some 50-year-olds too.
You know what? It seems to be a place where they have their own stars.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But it seems to be a place where if you're a Japanese wrestler of cult status, that New Japan is not willing to spend the money on you, you're in Noah because you don't want to go lowballed in All Japan. Your name is too big for All Japan. Mind you, Yuji Nagata's the champion in All Japan.
Yes.
Triple Crown. It's but yeah, I feel like this is where they land. They end up in Noah, right? So hey,
all the power to them. If they can still pull it off, why not?
And none of them looked bad.
No, that's the thing. Like, yes, they may be older, but they could still go. Like, they could still like.
Noah's not playing around. They're not just signing people who can't perform, right?
Yeah, like what I think AEW is suffering. Not just people who can't perform. They're just signing everybody, and now they don't know what to do with them.
But we'll get to that in our State of Wrestling next week. But
Tune in for next week for that.
I do think that AEW has started to correct course, and they're using the right people where they need to use them.
I saw a photo the other day. He didn't win it, but I saw a photo of Kyle Fletcher holding the International Championship.
Yes. On Dynamite, he knocked out Orange Cassidy and took it out of his bag.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I'd like to see that match.
It's gonna happen. I think it's on Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay.
But I hope he doesn't win. He does not need to win.
No, he's good with the tag championships.
I do want
FTR
him to lose. I do want Orange Cassidy to lose it, but it can't be to Kyle Fletcher.
No, it has to be someone on unless it's a big name in Japan.
It has to be an individual Japanese wrestler, not half of a tag team.
I would like to see maybe give it to Naito.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll do it.
Like, give him that, hey, I got one over you, Okada, that I have won an international championship and you haven't.
I mean, he has no championship. Well, he has one now.
He has one now. His first non-singles belt.
His first non-heavyweight title belt.
Yeah. And then this could lead to a Naito Omega because he's won championships in other organizations too. So we're booking it here.
Title for title.
Exactly. So I mean, it was like I said, it was just a tag match. Didn't really mean anything, but it was still a good match. Like I said, Tanaka, like the guy, this man has been through, and at his age now, like he's 50, Tanaka.
If you can put on a pay-per-view that's this long and has this many matches, and you don't feel upset about watching any of them, that's what I'm looking for. And Noah has never not delivered on that.
Yeah, even on this show, they've delivered on that too. So, and they even put these guys over. They put Fujita and Tanaka over.
Yeah,
in this match, which is fine. I'm good with that. Like, yeah.
I mean, let's not forget the heavyweight champions on the last pay-per-view we watched were Kojima and what's his face.
Which since then they've lost the belts.
Yes, they did.
So we're going on to the next match. We got Masakaru Funaki against Shinya Aoki in a martial arts style rule match.
Yeah, it's
more of a catch style wrestling.
Yeah, it's like a combination of karate and catch style.
Yeah,
it's very strange. It's hard to tell if it's real or not.
Yeah.
They do seem to be hitting each other quite hard, but it's when you watch the Okada thing with Kiyomiya, and you're like, you could see that, like, okay, something is happening here.
Yeah.
In this match, even though some of it does look really real, it's hard to tell, is this an actual shoot fight? Like, is this a real martial arts fight, or is this a staged fight?
Yeah.
Because they even brought out a ultimate, not a UFC fighter, a
cage, like an
what do you
MMA.
call it? MMA fighter who's
Josh
champion,
Barnett.
and Josh Barnett, and he's there and like talking with them.
Yeah,
So it's like
commentating.
it gives you this
I think
feeling of
this was
like,
more to set up, because at the end of the match, it was a quick match. Funaki goes over in a weird submission. I didn't see like how that was a submission, but at the end of the match, he congratulates him on like, well done, blah, blah, blah. And then he calls out Josh Barnett. So I think this was just to set up him versus Josh Barnett, get that big American name to really promote Noah out there.
yeah, Noah's connecting with everybody right now. I'd really love to see an event with another company.
Yeah,
Do Ring of Honor versus Noah,
Yeah. But now Josh Barnett's going to bring that name value to the North American audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's good.
Oh, it's excellent. So, I mean, it served its purpose. Depending on how real it was, we'll never know. But it didn't have that weight, like you said, like the Okada Kiyomiya incident, where you were like, "Is this a work or is this like you were legit wondering?"
This you were constantly in the limbo of like, okay, this is definitely planned. Okay, no, maybe this is not.
Yeah. So
like,
I mean, it was still okay for what it was.
It was a good match,
and it was 6 minutes. So like you can't
Yeah.
ask for more in 6 minutes. Next we're going into our tag match of Stinger of Ogawa and Chris Ridgway against Eita and Daga. We have our first turn of the night in this match. Eita turns on Daga at the end of the match, and Stinger goes over, and Eita pretty much is joining Stinger.
Yeah.
Ridgway, former Rev Pro or Progress. He's Progress, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, Progress. Hey, I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
Because Daga and
Eita
have kind of had this friendship
for a while, yeah.
So that I thought that was kind of strange.
And it's telling the story of like how nobody wants to be around Daga anymore.
Well, Daga keeps pushing everybody away.
Yeah.
He has like no want to like work with anyone. When he was champions, he didn't even like, he used to just take his belt and just leave.
Yeah. Former Mr. Tessa Blanchard.
Yeah.
Dodged a bullet with that one. But yeah, I mean, this was, like I said, this was just a match to set up, like it was more to tell that story of Daga, how nobody wants to work with him, how he pushes everybody away, how he thinks he can do whatever he wants. And now it's starting to show that, no, you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, this is what's going to happen to you. I think he had a match. Does he have a match? He had the match at the World as a Vampire event, didn't he?
I don't remember.
In Mexico, the NWA AAA event. But I don't think we're going to do a review for that one. We'll put a score up.
Yeah, we'll just throw a score.
Kind of like we did. But yeah, I mean, this was a good match. Like, I mean, there was nothing wrong with it, and it told a good story in the ring too. Like, it was a decent match. Next we're going into Dralistico against Rey Escorpion.
This is a pretty good match.
This was a feud match. I love right away how at the beginning of the match he tries to rip Dralistico's mask off, and apparently it's Dralistico's Dragon Lee's brother.
Yeah, Dralistico, Dragon Lee, and Roosh are all brothers.
Yeah. And is Dralistico still part of what's his name's faction in AEW?
Yeah.
He's still part of that, right?
They had a match recently against Commander.
Right.
And El Hijo del Vikingo.
Yes, that's right. So yeah, it was like I said, this is a feud match, and I really like the way the commentating team is putting over the fact that if Ray rips off Dralistico's mask completely, he technically takes the loss in this match.
Yeah.
And I think this may lead to a hair versus mask match.
Yeah, it's always a hair versus mask match. It's like the most common lucha match that there is.
The most common trope, which, yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
Usually ends up in the hair losing because they very rarely want to unmask people.
Unless it's a mask versus mask.
Yes, but those are set up because someone's plan for their future is to no longer be a masked wrestler. You know what I mean?
That's exactly it. So, it's rare, like you said, that the mask versus hair, the mask loses.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it was another good match. It was another fun match. Like it did what it had to do. Like, and at this point, at this point, we're
at
like,
least it goes really good.
Yeah, and at this point, was this where they did the intermission, or was it at the next match?
I think
because they did another because I know they did another. I can't remember where they put it, but there was another like 20-25 minute, half an hour intermission, and that's why the show was 5.5 hours.
When they went into the belts, when it went into the belt matches, there was a intermission.
Then that's
like
it,
New Japan style.
Dralistico goes over, and probably like you said, it's going to lead to a hair versus mask match. Then we have our first championship match of the night. The GHC Tag Team Championship is on the line. Sugiura and Taniguchi are the champions. They beat the other guys on a show that we didn't even realize happened. And this was their first title defense against a team called Real of Timothy Thatcher and Saxon Huxley. Timothy Thatcher, he was tag team with Ridge Holland for a while, I think, in NXT.
Ridge the Fridge?
Yeah. And Saxon Huxley was also had a really great match with Walter in NXT UK.
Yeah.
So these are legit. Like,
Thatcher is great.
Yeah.
I want to see Thatcher versus Sabre Jr. That's like,
yeah, that's a good match
for me.
That would be a very good match. Yeah, and it was fun. It was, like I said, it was their first defense. So clearly this was to set this match up because they were just a transitional champ. We do get new champs. This is the photo we were telling you earlier in the show that I posted on IG to Campo, that they showed Thatcher and Huxley with the belts. I'm like, when the hell did this happen?
Yeah.
And then we realized it wasn't even the champs that we remember that lost. It was a new set of champs.
And it's funny because we talk about it quite a bit about how good Thatcher is. And when we saw that he won, we were both, this is how we found out about the event. Did we say that? Did you say that?
I just said that. It was through Instagram. I followed Timothy Thatcher, and he posted on his Instagram that he's like, and new champions. I'm like, what? When the hell did this happen?
Yeah, good.
So we researched into the event. So thank you, Timothy Thatcher, for shining a little light on this show for us. But yes, absolutely. Timothy Thatcher, a guy that was, going nowhere in WWE. They didn't really have a direction for him. Like, he was there for a couple years. I mean, he teamed up with Roderick Strong for a little bit. He was with Tony Nese for a little bit. He had a really great feud with Tommaso Ciampa before Ciampa got hurt and got called up to the main roster. But good on Thatcher and Huxley. It goes to show that Noah is also not afraid to put belts on Gaijin wrestlers.
Yeah, sometimes you got to do it.
Yeah. So and you got new champs. So next we go into our next championship match. Hayata, we didn't even know, is now the champion, defending the GCH Junior Heavyweight Championship against Ninja Mac. Ninja Mac, I did not realize, is also a Gaijin.
Yeah. So Hayata, I think, gathering from what they're talking about here, he was supposed to be champion this whole time, but he got injured. So they had to wait for him to come back to win the title.
Yeah.
So that's why we had that like space in between, because it moved pretty fast. It was like Dante Leon had it, and then it quickly moved to I forget his name. Amakusa, and then to him.
Yeah.
And but yeah, apparently they wanted him to be champion the whole time, but he was injured.
Yeah. And this sets up the match that happened earlier before Hayata got injured. He lost the belt to Ninja Mac.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to win it back, and that's when it went to Dante Leon, because Ninja Mac only held it for 11 days at the time.
And Ninja Mac is so good.
Yeah.
Like, he's crazy.
Yeah. And he's fun to watch. And then at the end of the match, Hayata does go over, but he calls out Dante Leon. So
which is what we want. I think that's going to be a great match. I thought he was great. I've never seen him wrestle before. It was really good.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to set up and then it'll set up like a then it'll set up something like, with Hayata versus Amakusa again, or something like that, or Yamakusa versus Yohei. Like,
yeah,
like there's so many ways they can go with this now. And it was a fun match. Like I said, it was very lucha inspired, but I've noticed like the lucha inspired people in this show, like the Mexican wrestlers, like people like, we'll see it in the next match, Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. They're more of a throwback to the 60s and 70s style of lucha wrestlers, like Blue Demon, Santo, you know what I mean? Those type of guys where they were more broad barrel chested, as opposed to like, the smaller high flyers.
like Ramses.
Ramses, he's the number one, but he is not singing at the party.
Yeah, it's you're correct. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, Silver King.
Yeah,
perhaps.
exactly.
Yeah. El Dandy. Just ask where I heard about El Dandy.
El Dandy, the greatest wrestler of all time.
But yeah, this was a good match. Ninja Mac is like fun to watch. Like for like a bigger, like he's not big, but he's like for a lucha, he's pretty large.
He's really thick.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't look, excuse me.
Yeah. Like the typical lucha.
For a guy that can do what he does, he doesn't look very in shape.
Yeah, because the guy's he was also, but mind you, he was also trained by like Loki and Booker T, right? So he has also that in-ring ability that
he can move, man. He does a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah. And it was a fun match. It kept me interested. And when there's a belt on the line, it always adds that more, you know what I mean? More belts, right? More belts. And I think agree. That's why too, with the tag matches, it's not just tag matches, it's factions. So there's more stakes to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's like a battle.
Yeah, exactly. It's telling that story. Hayata goes over. Hayata challenges Dante Leon after this. So looking forward to that match. I want to watch that. The only thing is now we have to pay attention more to what's the company called that you have the service?
Wrestle Universe.
Wrestle Universe. We got to pay a little bit more attention to that. I have a bookmark now on my Chrome tab on my iPad, so I'm good to go now at any time. Next, we're going into the aforementioned El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. Great name.
The worst name of all time.
Yeah.
The son of Dr. Wagner Jr.
So he's technically Dr. Wagner the third.
Yes.
Right? Against Hideki Suzuki. Suzuki, another legend in Japanese wrestling. Not Minoru Suzuki, but close enough. He's same style, I guess, as Minoru. He's very of that catch style, strong style, more King's, like you said, King's Road, as opposed to the yeah. And
I mean, I'm not gonna pretend this was like some excellent match.
It was good.
It had some high points.
Started off really good, actually.
Yeah, it was a decent match overall. I think at this point, I kind of had lucha fatigue because every match was kind of similar in a way. Like, this didn't really do anything different. Not that it was bad.
In a way, it did do something different in the fact that Suzuki was trying to take that aerial-based maneuver and the speed away from El Hijo, and he kept it more mat-based and more ground. So when you take that away from a luchador, they lose something, you know what I mean? So at least that kept me interested a little bit in that too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it wasn't a bad match. It definitely was not my favorite match of the night.
No.
There was some good in-ring storytelling, like you said.
Yeah. And El Hijo retains the GCH national champion. That would be their intercontinental, like their kind of like their US championship kind of thing. That's why they call it the national.
I think what they need to do is let Naito win that, then Naito win the international title, and then have Naito win the intercontinental title, and then bring back the intercontinental title in New Japan and let him be the fourth in all the intercontinental titles.
And then come in and he's going to win the US heavyweight championship from Omega too.
I guess that's their intercontinental title now.
Exactly. So, but yeah, good match. Like, I mean, it was decent for what it was. It wasn't, I think this was that buffer match to get you set up for the next couple matches, because the next one was a big one. Iho goes over in this one. And next you got Kongo of Keno, Nakajima, and Manubu Soya, the soybean, against Gokai. Against Gokai. Yeah, I like Soya. Soya is good. Against Gokai of Go Shinzaki, Kaito Kiyomiya, and Yoshiki Inamura. So Kiyomiya's in this match. So right away, he's like their young star, their up and coming talent, the guy they're pushing. That's why he's in the co-main event right now. And he's still in that feud with Keno, even though the belt is no longer on the line. Kiyomiya lost the belt to Jake Lee a few months back, or a month or so ago. And it's still telling that story. And Kongo versus Gokai. And this was a fantastic match. This had everything you want in a match, including a turn. Another turn.
Well, we get the emergence of one of their other legendary, like, high caliber wrestlers on the other side that we haven't seen yet. I have names blanking me again.
Which one? The Shinozaki?
Yeah, Shinozaki. Not the guy with, not the S&M guy.
No, Shinozaki is the other guy, the Kiyomiya's partner there. Yeah.
So
they're all part of Gokai.
He was gifted his moveset from.
That's why they're called Gokai, right? Go and Kaito.
Yeah.
Gokai.
Yeah. So he was gifted his moveset by Keiji Muto. He beat him, and he's now uses the figure 4 and Shining Wizard and stuff like that. And
Keiji Muto was on commentary for this match too. Yeah. And they were showing off his WWE. Yeah, they were even talking about it and stuff.
But he's one of their, like, bigger names. But he was injured for the whole time we were watching, so we never got to see him.
The last 6 months or whatever it was, yeah.
And I mean, overall, this match was pretty good. It had a lot of good storytelling. There was a moment where Soya, no, it wasn't Soya. What's the other guy's name?
Keno?
Not Keno. I know Keno.
Inamura? The S&M guy? The S&M guy.
Was it him?
No, it had to have been Soya.
Yeah, okay. He does like some sort of suplex, and he dropped what's his name right on his friggin' head.
Yes.
And you could see that he got hurt.
Soya did that to Inamura.
Okay, Soya to Inamura.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly. Like, at some points, like, you thought, like, wow, these guys are throwing it all out there. They're leaving it all out on the table. It's going to mean something. And you want to set it up. We get a turn. Somebody turns on Kongo. Finally, someone leaves Kongo. It's Nakajima. He joins Shiozaki and Kiyomiya.
Okay, no, so Nakajima is the one that did the
move.
The move. Okay. So yeah, anyways, digressing from all the points here. Oh, sorry. I forgot what I was going to say. I have a picture of it for reference so that I don't lose it, okay? So in the current time we're in, since the late last year till now, Kongo was like this force. They were destroying everything.
Unstoppable, yeah.
They lost Tadasuke to the good-looking guys.
Yep.
They lost Alejandro, and now they've lost
Nakajima. And they lost Inamura too. Inamura was a member as well.
There you go. So they've lost 4 people, but Inamura is one of the founding members, though. I think he left a long time ago.
Yeah.
Those other 3 left. 2 of them left this year. And one of them was at the very end of last year, Alejandro.
Yeah.
So they're getting really, they're telling some kind of story here.
Yeah.
We need to really start watching and practicing.
Kind of like the way they took Sonata from LIJ.
Yeah. And I got to get better with the names in Noah.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
As long as we watch more shows, we'll be all right.
But yeah, a freaking good show.
Yeah, it was
so far. This match was pretty good.
What do you think is? Because the English commentators really couldn't explain very well what happened there. Why do you think? A lot of times when someone was talking, they would start translating and then just stop telling you what's happening. Like, what did you take from it? Like, what do you?
Because they were a tag team back in the days. That's what were they called? I think it's
Nakajima and Inamura, right?
Yeah. Apex or something like that.
The Tough. No, Kitamiya. Nakajima and Kitamiya were the tough.
No, they was started with an A. It doesn't
Okay.
matter. Either way, they're a tag team from back in the days. They changed directions. They went against each other. So them coming together is like a huge thing right now.
Yeah.
This is kind of like the Golden Lovers reuniting.
Reuniting. Yeah, in a way. Yeah, very much so.
So it's a good. They're Noah's trying to tell stories right now. Like I said, they're really cementing. You could see with all the movement that's been happening lately between factions and like creating new factions, they're trying to have like a solid lineup for the rest of the year where there won't be much more moving.
Kind of like you said, what Impact is doing. They're finding their footing with the storylines now and trying to evolve these storylines into something more solid and more tangible.
And also, they're just watching what New Japan's doing and being like, "Okay,
let's try that too.
Let's try that too,
or let's try to keep up at least, right? They don't want to be left in the outside.
Yeah, LIJ's deteriorating, Congo's deteriorating. We might see them team up.
That wouldn't be so bad.
A tag team, Keno and Naito.
Yeah, that would be
Kaito.
Good. Kaito. But yeah, and then even though Congo goes over, Nakajima joins the other guy. He leaves Congo basically.
Yeah, and that caught me off guard. I was not expecting it, and I really like him too. We were talking about him last time.
Yes, Nakajima is one of the.
He's like a really intense wrestler. Like he goes hard.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. Very fun to watch. He's one of the reasons this. And Kiyomiya is like, he's the youngest.
Oh, every wrestler in this match was a good wrestler.
Yeah.
Even S&M boy.
Yeah. Which in the last few matches, he wasn't really the highlight.
No.
So up next, we go to our main event of the night, which is Jake Lee defending the GHC Heavyweight Championship against Marufuji, legend in Japanese wrestling. Naomichi Marufuji, not the other Marufuji.
Yeah, but he's like a Noah's Tanahashi at this point.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, he's same age, I think, 43.
But he can go a lot better than Tanahashi can.
Oh yeah, right now. He still has more. You can see Tanahashi's getting a little soft in the middle now. Before Tanahashi used to be
Tanahashi's finishing move is jumping off the top rope and landing on your knees. Like you can tell that like it's starting to get to him.
Yeah, but even before Tanahashi, you see Tanahashi 5-6 years ago, the guy was jacked. Now he's getting a little.
He's still big, but he's not. He doesn't have that like.
He's not ripped anymore. Yeah, like I mean, he can still go. Don't get me wrong. Like he's still in better shape than I'll ever be. But
he's still a really good wrestler. But he just doesn't. The Marufuji has something still that's special.
Yeah,
Tanahashi's special is gone.
Yeah,
he's still a good wrestler. He just like Jericho.
He's an attraction now more than a.
Yeah. Jericho still goes, and it's not easy to do what at
53,
doing, right?
54, whatever age Jericho is. I think
at 53, 54, Marufuji's going to be Jericho, and Tanahashi's going to be like Muto.
Yeah, barely walk,
like barely able to move. Yeah. But
this was a fantastic match, though.
But listen, it started off
slow.
I really was not into it. I was so upset. I'm like, I was expecting so much from this. I mean, we don't know much about Jake Lee.
Yeah. All we know is he beat Kiyomiya at one of these random shows we didn't even know happened.
And from what we've seen of him so far, I think both of us thought he was not a main card guy.
Yeah.
He wasn't like a main eventer.
But then again, we also didn't think Sonata was a main eventer either.
That's true. But we always thought Sonata had something special. We don't watch that much Noah. He came out. I liked his entrance. I liked everything. Match was really slow to start.
He was introduced to us. When did we see him? He made his return at that December show, right?
Yeah, he was in a 4-way match with somebody.
No, but there was what was that show we watched at the beginning? Was it at the beginning of the year?
It was New Year's Day.
The New Year's Evil, right? No, was it?
It was called New Year's something.
Yes, the one before.
It was the one where Nakamura fought.
Yeah, that was Great Muta Final Bye Bye, wasn't it?
No, it was called New Year's something.
It was on New Year's Day. Yeah, Noah, the New Year.
Yeah, the New Year, and
that's when he made. That's when he made his return.
2 Kiss Kiss Bang Bangs after that. 2 different ones. The final match for Noah, and the final match for whatever.
Muto.
Muto.
So it was, so there was one KG Muto's final match and then Great Muta's final match.
Yeah, so we watched both of those, and then we saw the crossover event with Noah and New Japan. So this is the 5th event we've seen.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jake Lee, in the first time we saw him, I'm pretty sure he was in a 4-man tag.
Yeah, it was in a with the good-looking guys.
With good-looking guys.
Yeah, it was Jake Lee. It was a 6-man tag. It was Jake Lee.
That's when the good-looking guys started.
Zach Morris and Anthony Green.
Hugh Morris's son.
Yes. And Anthony Green. They were in a tag.
They're the first 3 members of the team. And since then they stole Tadasuke from Congo, and they added Yohei. We're getting better.
Yes.
But yeah, so this match started off kind of weird. I wasn't into it. It went full New Japan, where it was like a building story, and then as it got towards the end, and it was like
a slow burn,
finisher, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Yeah, like a couple times I thought, at a few points, I thought Marufuji was going to take it.
I'm starting to think, though, the way that from watching since we started doing this and just all the way till now, it's Marufuji is their Chris Jericho. I'm sorry to keep saying Chris Jericho, but he's like their Chris Jericho. His job is to be a big name that can wrestle, but he put over other people, because he clearly was not supposed to win this. Like when you start really seeing it, yes, there was the moments of iffiness, but when the match ends, you're like, okay, I totally get this. This was just to.
That's right. It was Marufuji, and I forgot the other 2 against Green, and I remember that match now.
He's a talent to put people over at this point. I'm sure he'll win a title again. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But he's clearly their guy to be like, oh, they beat Marufuji. You better watch this guy.
Yeah,
we're gonna get a rematch.
This is to solidify Jake Lee as a champion, because, like you said, we didn't think that Jake Lee could have been this main eventer.
Which maybe we get a no title match, but champion versus champion.
Yeah,
Sonata versus him. Just no titles on the line.
I'd like that match.
Or maybe we'll get a nice Kiyomiya rematch against him.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
Yeah, because I'm gonna go back this week if I got time between. Best of the Super Juniors.
There's 2 events that we missed. There was their tournament that was a 2-day thing, which I want to check that out. I know we're talking about this in mid episode. And there's another pay-per-view that happened April 29th.
That's the one where Jake Lee won.
Yeah, where Jake Lee won. I want to watch that. So I'm
Great Journey, I think it was called.
This is how I became very acclimated with New Japan, right? I got into it for the Kenny Omega stuff, and then I just kept going back through the back catalog, and I learned who everyone was, and then I'm planning to do that now. Well, what's the point of having this service if I'm paying money for it? I'm not going to have to use it. You know what I mean?
It was great.
I did watch some DDT. I don't recommend watching DDT.
No,
it's very strange.
Watch some Tokyo Joshi.
I did. There are a couple of the events are pretty good. It's usually the 2 main events are good. The rest of the card is kind of iffy on Joshi Pro. Yeah.
It was the thing is too, we were talking about Great Voyage, and we never. That's the one we should have reviewed. That was a month ago. That was in March. I think there was
we'll add the score.
Yeah, we'll add the score. We'll go back and watch that one, and we'll watch the. We'll add the score for that, and we'll add the score for Green Voyage as well, where it's Nakajima versus Jake Lee for the belt.
Okay.
So we'll go back and watch. Eventually, we'll add the score, and then I guess at the end of the month, maybe we'll do a recap on all the scores of all the shows we watched, because
all the ones we didn't talk about. We'll have a special recap show for the ones we didn't talk about, where we'll give you our best match and our worst match of the night and the score. I think that's a good idea.
I think that's a good idea at the 6 month point of the year. So
yeah, that's fair.
That sounds.
There's already about 4 that we've never talked about.
Yeah, there's a couple AAAs. There's a couple NWAs that we watched. There's
NWA AAA. There was 2 AAAs, NWA, and
now a couple Noahs.
These Noahs, yeah.
I
think there's even a few nights of New Japan that we never ended up talking about.
No, New Japan, we covered them all.
Did we?
Yeah. So we haven't. I know at the end of the video here, we haven't covered Enough Said, which was NWA. We didn't cover
398 or whatever.
Yeah, NWA 312. And we haven't covered those 2, and then with Noche de Campeones, we
mentioned Noche de Campeones.
But we didn't do Triple Mania.
We didn't do Triple Mania.
And now the 2, so it's going to be 5 shows. But going back after this huge, I digress here. Jake Lee does go over. Clearly, like you said, we knew this was just to get solidify Jake Lee as a champion by beating a legend in Marufuji. And I'm interested to see, like you saw, are we going to get a Jake Lee Kiyomiya rematch? Are we going to get like, what if we get a Jake Lee? What if we get, at the at that crossover event, the All Together Again, we get like a 3-way match between Jake Lee and
I don't want to see Yuji Nagata.
No, I'm not talking about Yuji Nagata, but maybe, or we get a match we get a match there. It's Okada versus Kiyomiya, and the winner goes on to face Jake Lee.
Yeah, okay.
Right? I wouldn't mind seeing something fresh like Okada versus Jake Lee, do a little goodwill cross promotion. Okada goes over there, beats Jake Lee, like,
yeah.
Or Jake Lee beats Okada and solidify, like, and really cements his as one of the greatest.
Hey, they'll do it for me.
Yeah. So with that out of the way, what was your best match of the night?
You know what? Because of the story that it told, I think the trios match,
the co-main event,
the co-main event. I think it just it wasn't the best match, but I think the implications of everything that's happened in it is so important, and to get that in like. To just jump into a pay-per-view randomly and get so much storyline, and is like,
we didn't have any backstory to this at all either.
I know, and it's I've now gained a lot of backstory since.
And credit to the commentators on this show to explain everything, because they know their audience is not someone who watches Noah all the time. It's people like us that come in once in a while to watch a show, so they really explain and get the story to you.
All of Japanese wrestling seems to really get that.
Yeah. And for me, I kind of has been leaning between the two of that one or the tag match, the Thatcher.
Yeah, that was also a really good match.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we don't have any match of the year contenders here, but it was a solid show all around.
Yeah, it was. It was good.
And what would you rate this show?
Oh, I want to know what you would rate it first.
I gave it a 7.5.
Okay. I gave it a 7.7.
Okay.
Only because I don't think anything about it was like super standout, but the fact that there were so many matches and none of them were like, oh, I don't like this match.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll give me a 7.6. Give me a 7.6. Okay. Just because I don't know what's coming next, right?
Yeah. But I mean, yeah,
I would go out of your way to watch this.
Yeah, this was definitely a good show to watch. It was a fun watch. If you have like, if you live in Toronto and don't want to watch hockey anymore because the Leafs are gone, this is something to watch. Or if you just like Japanese wrestling, this is a good, like it said, it had, like we were saying earlier, had that good mix. Like, even though you said you kind of got a little lucha out at the end, it had a good mix of King's Road, strong style, lucha, catch wrestling. It had a little bit of everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent on this roster. It's one of the, just go out of your way to look up Noah.
Yeah, even if you catch a match or two on YouTube, like it's worth the watch.
They have more talent than like an Impact by a long shot.
Yeah.
And they're
though Impact probably has some more recognizable names.
Yeah, there's not enough eyes on Noah. I think that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
New Japan is so big in Japan that it's like you don't even think about going anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like I said, go out of your way, like we said. So with that out of the way, tune in tomorrow night. We have something we haven't done in a long time. Tomorrow night, we will have another tier list. Myself, Campo, and the return of Caps. We will be tier listing the entire NWO roster from WCW. We're not, I can't remember if we did.
We do have WWF people in it.
We did add Shawn Michaels. And
shout out to me completely botching a whole section where I thought Booker T was at the final days of WCW, but it's actually in WWF when he joins NWO.
When he joined NWO, yeah. But tune in tomorrow night for that. Tune in next week where we will have our monthly State of Wrestling. So with that out of the way, thanks again for joining us. We'll see you all next time. Goodbye and good night.